Hello and welcome to Kettle and Bones, where we make really delicious, really healthy food. And you can too. You know what we don't do a lot of on the show? Desserts. We don't do many desserts. With the December holidays bearing down on us like a delicious runaway semi-truck, it's time to change that with a decadent, no sugar added, low-carb treat. Today, we're making sugar-free Seedy Nutty Chocolate Bark. Let's get cooking. We'll be building this delicious treat on a foundation that very much resembles the seed crisp bread crackers we made in Series 1, Episode 2. Like those crackers, our bark will start with sesame seeds and flax seeds, roughly a 2-to-1 ratio. These very small seeds form the grainy, sandy base that helps hold everything together. Now we need some medium-sized seeds and nuts. I have here pine nuts, sunflower seeds, flakes of almond, and crushed pecans. But there's a lot of room for variation here. Basically, as long as you have small pieces, our sesame and flax seeds, and medium-sized pieces, larger seeds or pieces of larger nuts, you can make these crackers out of any combination you'd like. Into a mixing bowl go all of our nuts and seeds, as well as a couple tablespoons of chia seeds and psyllium husk powder. Remember, these are here to help bind everything together. Another great binding agent is going in next, 2 eggs. Now I'm going to add a very small amount of Parmesan cheese. I don't want this tasting cheesy necessarily, although Parmesan is a mellow, nutty flavored cheese that will probably play very well with chocolate. But this is mainly here to help hold things together as well. Let's mix all of that together, making sure our egg yolks are well beaten and incorporated. Now we need to add just a splash of water. I'm probably adding just 2 or 3 tablespoons here. The water is going to hydrate the chia seeds, making them sticky, and it will also activate the psyllium husk powder. While we mix that into a consistency resembling coarse wet sand, let's talk about seasoning. The last time we made these, we added more cheese, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. You can add tomato paste, basil, black pepper, etc. Just a handful of ideas for great savory crackers. However, since this is going to be coated with chocolate today, I want chocolate-friendly flavors. I'm just going to go with a few dashes of cinnamon and some powdered erythritol sweetener, kind of a cinnamon toast vibe. That should be great with chocolate. This is good and mixed, so it's going onto a piece of parchment paper, and just like last time, we're using a silicone spatula to smush the mixture into place. It's going to seem crumbly at first, and it may even fall apart a little bit here and there, but just keep pressing it down onto the parchment paper. As you work it, it's going to start to stick to itself and stay where you want it to. The very edges are a little loose, so I'm pressing those in as well. By the end, it should be packed together tightly enough that you can run your spatula across the surface almost like a paintbrush to even out any bumps. When you have this at a nice uniform thickness, this is going into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, that's about 177 degrees Celsius, for 20 minutes to start. After 20 minutes, we're going to bump that down to 275 degrees Fahrenheit, or 135 Celsius, for about another 25 minutes, or until it's firm and crispy throughout. This is going to depend on how thick you spread your mixture. Mine is pretty thick, I'd say between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch. Okay, 20 minutes have passed. I have reduced the oven temperature, so in the 25 minutes or so that remain until our seedy nutty layer is cooked, I'm going to make the chocolate. To avoid making this a sugary dietary nightmare, we're going to make some sugar-free chocolate, and we're going to make it using a double boiler or bain-marie. That, of course, is French for just a nice big pot of water into which fits another smaller heat-proof container, a pot or bowl, so that the chocolate that will be melting in here never touches direct heat and it won't run the risk of being scorched. I have this on medium-low heat. We want to heat this slowly and gently. Our chocolate layer starts with a knob of coconut oil. This will help the chocolate get really smooth and silky. Once that has melted, in goes some unsweetened baking chocolate. This is 100% cacao, no sugar added, pure chocolate. It adds 0 net carbs. Obviously, the higher quality chocolate you use, the better this is going to taste. Cheap chocolate will taste like cheap chocolate, so get some good stuff. I'm using a total of 12 ounces, about 340 grams, and that's going to be plenty. Again, go slow and easy as you melt this, stirring occasionally until it's completely smooth. When it is, we're going to start sweetening and tasting. In go a few generous shakes of powdered erythritol sweetener. I'm going to add in about 1/3 of a cup, and then we'll give that a taste. Wow, it's really rich, really luxurious, but it's still really bitter. Definitely needs more sweetening. Mix, taste, repeat until it's just the way you like it. Keep in mind, this is going on a layer of toasted seeds and nuts that is slightly cinnamony, but maybe a little salty as well if your seeds and nuts had any salt added. So be thinking about how sweet you want the chocolate to be as a good counterbalance to the seeds and nuts. Mine is now medium sweet, but primarily rich and chocolatey, and that's what I want. Let's put that to the side. And just before I take the seed and nut layer out of the oven, I'm going to prepare a topping for our bark. This is a bag of mixed nuts that I'm just going to lightly crush using a rolling pin to avoid having, for example, an enormous whole Brazil nut sitting on there as a topping. With those now in medium to large chunks, let's bring over our seed and nut bottom layer. I let this cool just a bit so that I can comfortably remove the parchment paper. I've also placed this onto a wire rack so that the bottom side can have some air circulating under it. I don't want this getting soggy. Now the moment we've been waiting for. We're going to scoop out our thick, delicious chocolate, now delightfully sweet yet still sugar-free. And quickly, before it starts to cool off, spread it to the edges of our Seedy Nutty foundation. This is a charmingly rustic and irregular confection, so don't worry about trying to make it look perfectly smooth. Waves and ridges of chocolate give this a lot of character. Now, with the chocolate still warm, let's add our nutty toppings. I'm doing big chunks first, and also sprinkling on some of the nutty dust from the bag. This topping can of course be whatever you'd like it to be. If you have a sugar-free peppermint candy that you like, for example, you could make this very Christmassy indeed. Toasted coconut flakes could also be very nice. You could also make a little sugar-free white chocolate using the double boiler method and unsweetened white baking chocolate and drizzle that on artistically over the top. The only limit is your imagination. With your toppings of choice sinking down into the still melty chocolate layer, we're going to put this into the refrigerator for about 30 minutes or until the chocolate is good and solid all the way through. We need it hard and crusty, not soft and melty, for the next and final step. After 30 minutes, this is what we get. Beautiful. We have a nice thick layer of solid chocolate on a pretty much equally thick layer of delicious toasted seeds and nuts. This is nice and cold from the fridge, so it's brittle enough that we can, with a little pressure, break this up by hand into nice rustic-looking chunks. You can see from the cross-section of one of these pieces, my chocolate bark is thick. That's how I wanted it, but it would be possible, using the same recipe, to easily make a thinner, lighter version of this. I could have made this into probably 2 of these sheets, each half as thick, using the same quantity of ingredients. So if you like a more delicate, refined bite, this absolutely works for that too. This is one of those great treats to keep a loosely jumbled pile of on a decorative holiday plate in the kitchen, the dining room, or living room, so that when you walk by and think to yourself, oh, that looks good, but I shouldn't. Oh, it's the holidays, I'll just have one. Well, now you can have 2 of this simple, easy, awesomely chocolatey, sugar-free sweet snack. Stay with Kettle and Bones for many, many more ways to take what it is you're craving and make it fit into your low-carb or keto nutritional experience, even if what you're craving is a luxurious dessert. But for now, just enjoy your sugar-free, seedy, nutty Chocolate Bark.